So what is it about the human experience that when we experience unique things, we want to share it with somebody else, the special moments? I think that's something I miss most about either living with other people or just being younger, where I had other people around me that when something neat happened, I could share it with other people. Maybe those people really cared, or maybe they were just really good at hiding their tolerance. Were they genuinely interested, or were they just patient? Well, I just woke up from a neat little dream about 10 minutes, 12 minutes before my alarm. It's just before 5:30 in the morning. The last time I saw my clock was just before 1 o'clock. It was kind of 12:30, 12:40. And that's something else, is you sleep better. I slept better when I was around a few other humans, and you have that sense of, I want to say community, but it's family, where you feel safe. It's so much easier to fall asleep when you're around a few people that you really trust and you really care about. They help you end the day, and you help them end the day. And in the end, you're all taking care of each other, and everything just works a little bit better. But I had a dream, which is very rare. Maybe it's a function of the type of sleep I get. Or maybe it's just a function of just these moments, and I wanted to share it. It was a different kind of dream. It was sad. There was just beautiful emotions. I was in kind of a mall setting, and I approached a man. He looked like a bodybuilder, but he also looked just profoundly sad. He was kind of laying down. And the first thing I said to him was, "You look how I feel." And, I said, kind of forgive me for saying this. I'm not saying this to offend you. He looked just so profoundly sad. And he was just so instantly receptive and just tolerant of my quirks. And there was just a beauty to it. There was no awkwardness. He just instantly accepted and received my coming to sit next to him. And his head was lying down. And he just kind of put it against my shoulder. And he told me what was upsetting him is he'd done, maybe he'd won this 50-50, draw the raffle they have in the mall. And he's kind of saying, whatever, what's the big deal? It's only like $100 or $200, or like, but there was a sense of injustice that he had experienced, but he wasn't willing or going to kind of that self-advocate, right? And so he was profoundly sad about this injustice. And then I can't remember the details anymore because, dreams, it starts to get fuzzy. Something happened and I was really sad. Oh, maybe that was it. Okay, I remember now. So I don't remember how I left him, but the next thing I remember from this dream is I was talking with somebody else, kind of a similar bodybuilder, right? But just like somebody else. And he said, like, Sadie, you know, I was up dancing on stage or something for a while. And it was a nice, pleasant moment. And then the next thing that I remember was another bodybuilder had talked to me, kind of a different, kind of that more inquisitive type. And he said, like, so what did you say to Sadie? Or like, you know, and I said, well, I won't tell you what I said. I said, but I'll tell you first how I felt. I said, I was struck by him. I said, because he was the most beautiful person, or one of the most beautiful people I'd ever seen. I said, he just looked like, he was sculpted in clay and then just forged in bronze. It was just, so that struck me. But the next thing was, he was just so profoundly sad. And so I didn't really say too much more to him. I just approached him and I did tell him that you look how I feel. And we just had that instant connection, and there was no desire to give or to take from each other. It was just this beautiful moment. And then the second person said to me, he says, Sadie died. Or, he died, hey, or whoever, Macho or whatever the delivery was. And then I felt just profoundly sad. And I wrapped my arms around him, and he wrapped arms around me. I hugged. And so the idea, so that's kind of the dream I did. So I wanted to share that because I thought it was beautiful. And now as I reflect, this dream comes the day after Father's Day, when I was listening to some really neat programming on the radio about what it means to be a father, and how that role has changed over time, and how that role has been defined over time through various cultural and historic events, and the Industrial Revolution, and how we work, or post-World War II, and how we consume, how the media shapes, and just, those kind of things, and how it's been shaped by mythology and literature. And so that was really neat. And the takeaway from the interview, the man, of course, he wrote a book, and that they were promoting it. He said the takeaway was, in the end, a dad needs to have a good sense of humor, be funny, make me laugh, and give me great hugs. So this little piece is just, like I opened with, it kind of comes back from that desire to be able to share just these unique moments with somebody, something that used to be family that you live with. I don't live with my family anymore. And so I still have that desire to just to share unique moments and be human in that way. And instead I get to share it with I don't know who you people are. I think I've met some of you, and I think I haven't met many of you, but thank you for listening. It's quite unique. Oh, I think I was also watching. This is some of the humor, I guess. So that's what happened during my day. I was, of course, working, but listened to these radio moments of father interviews and so forth. I also learned the word father is maybe more profound than the word dad. The word dad kind of come back to, meaning that you're a friend as opposed to a father is maybe a bit more rooted in substance historically. I found that interesting. But the humor was that was happening during the day, but some of the last things I was watching or listening to was about, the Ukraine war and how they're making, artillery barrels. And I was intrigued by the process and so forth. But I don't know, maybe that's where the death came from, or profound sadness, or maybe it reveals more about just my own deeper sadness. I do have this strong sense to just get away. I don't want to be here anymore. It's just that desire that I want to be around the things that I like, the things that fuel me as a person. I like nature so much. How do I define that? Just not solitude, but just that ability to, I describe it as being around the wild things. Just having that sense where you can walk around, canoe or bike, and no disrespect to humans, but you don't want to always be around humans, and you just want that desire to wander, to explore, and it's not someone's lawn, it's not a public park where it's there, but you can't really do anything, right? You can't stare at a tree for an hour because that would just freak out the other humans, because there's so many of them are over here. Or it's just that wild space where it's more that balance, and you can be just alone for a while. And if you want to look at a tree for an hour, if you want to inspect a piece of moss or a flake of rock, it's not that you're not allowed to down here, but it's more comfortable to do it where the wild things are, where there's still forest and animals. And so it's not so much that I want to leave anything here, because I'm enjoying my life here. As I'll say, in the South, get to see my kids every day, and that makes a big difference. Get to see my wife, or ex-wife, or whatever I'm supposed to call her. I have a job, I work, and I'm really enjoying that work. It's physical, it's useful, it's beneficial to other people. But it's kind of that leisure time. When I have it, I just don't feel that, I don't feel there's a good space or the right space for me down here. It's like, how do I describe it? It's like, sure, you can go hiking, you can go fishing, but down here it just feels like every time I start doing, a hike, like my last hike, just walking around a lake, just a simple thing down a public path, and I just keep going, and it's a path, and it was just lovely. Because I walked and hiked to places that I hadn't been to before, and then the different terrain in different parts of the lake, it was just lovely, everything you'd want in a hike. And then sure enough, all of a sudden, I'm on private property, and oops, walk past and through the gate, and oh, sure enough, there's the sign, trespassing, not allowed, and private property, and just that whole vibe. I'm just kind of annoyed, over disappointed. Everything's just kind of carved up down here, and nothing happened. No one approached me. I wasn't accosted, but it was just that sense that, oh, I'd broken the rules, and just a couple kilometer hike. Maybe it's more than a couple, but anyways, it's like, oops, I once again traipsed into somebody else's backyard. It was a kind of a camping RV private area, so it wasn't too full. And like I said, fortunately, no one approached me, and there was nothing in that regard. But it's just again that sense, like that sense of place, that sense of space that I'm just not getting satisfied here. I've always felt it just so bizarre to drive to where you need to be. Like to drive to go work out. It's like, wasn't that bizarre? Shouldn't you be able to walk? Shouldn't it just be that close? Or the same thing of driving to you're going to take your dog to the dog park, so you drive to the dog park. It just feels odd. For me, it just doesn't fit with. And so the same thing when I'm going with this is, yes, of course I could drive. It would take the closest provincial park. It's about an hour from where I am. And it just feels weird. And not to mention the time sink. It's like it takes an hour to get there, an hour to get back. There's 2 hours. There's only 24 in a day. How long were you going to spend hiking? Oh, maybe a couple. Well, there goes the 2 hours just from driving. And it's not even very, again, it's not even very wild anymore. It's just kind of open, exposed. People are just supposed to, here's a playground, here's a place to buy burgers, and you're just kind of walking around a campground. And these things, it just doesn't sit with me. It just doesn't feel right. I'm supposed to get out and interact with humans, and I think that's part of the imbalance is I haven't had my needs met. And the things that I need to do to feel good and to be a good human, I'm just not getting it met. So I'm very grateful my job now, my work, it gets me outside. I get to do manual physical labor that other people very much appreciate, and get to work around trees and such. Unfortunately, I'm cutting them down. I'm not planting them. I'm not sculpting or shaping them or helping them be healthy. Usually it's just taking them down, but it's heavy physical work, at least, which I appreciate, and it's outdoors, and I feel stronger and more capable. But there is kind of that bizarre caveat of what I'm doing is cutting trees down. I guess that's part of the human experience too, is just finding that balance, finding that what fits. And I'm not sure if I'm struggling with it anymore. It's more a transition point to just kind of allow myself to say, what my kids need for me, of course, is the humor and the hugs, but they also need, I think, that not guidance in that formal sense, but guidance in the sense of leadership and the sense of role modeling, that you do need to go after what works for you and the life you need and you want. You do need to be yourself. I've been holding myself back, I think, for a long time. Just torn between, how do I be me and how do I be a good dad, or how do I be a good husband, and just feeling suffocated with the leisure opportunities or the lifestyle services that are available here, the cost of it, just kind of the whole arrangement. Down here, it's like live to do it again, and then your way of celebrating is just buy something for somebody and live to do it again. And for me, it just feels madness, and it's kind of giving myself that permission of just, no more of that nonsense. Don't be rash. Don't be hasty. Do develop a plan and do move towards a better place and a better lifestyle for myself. And I need that for me to be selfish and thinking about my kids and my wife. I can recognize that they need that for me too, that maybe they're caught up in the madness as well of just habits and where we are. And maybe there's some of that classic component to family where if things do need to change, the dad, the father goes out and finds the place first, and then the family follows. And so, wow, this is better, this is different and better, and it's better arrangement and balance for affordability and services, and it's just better. But the mom and the kids need to do their thing, and they need to have that reassurance that it's okay because somebody else has to go first. So I'm not torn, but part of my movements and part of my plan is to recognize that if I leave where I'm currently living for what I predict would be a better life for myself, what effect does that have on my kids? Does my wife feel abandoned? And would they consider following? Would they consider also transitioning? Or would they take it as a huge slight and we wouldn't be seeing each other very frequently for a very long time? And would I be okay with that? Would it make me stronger? Would it ruin me to experience the emotions of, why did you leave us? Or, you chose yourself over us, that kind of debate, as opposed to it genuinely shaping and improving me. So these are thoughts I have. I started with a nice dream, and it's just nice to kind of share a little further what's still on my mind. I do need to leave it there as the morning progresses to get on with the rest of my day, but it has been nice to share these thoughts. All for now.